the supplementary video for the all achievements run. In this I will be running any percent in Gehenna in less than 18 minutes. That's sort of the expectation. There's far more space than that in the gap in all achievements, but I want to make sure that I have that sort of restriction. So I'm going to do any percent and then immediately switch to Gehenna. Sorry, I should explain. I'm going to do the any percent of Talos principle, which will take less than 6 minutes, and then I'm going to do the DLC any percent in less than 12. Those two summed up are going to be less than the gap of time it takes for a couple of achievements to be finished. So let's get that started. Hopefully y'all are cool with this being a little bit more informal. So I'm going to start time, and then I'm going to end time when I finish the end category and explain what's going on. So here we go. I didn't have my splitter going. Alright, there we go. Okay. So this is the main game. You've already seen this sort of intro before because, well, we're assuming that you're in all achievements at this point. You've seen something similar to this intro. I'm going to take it a little bit safer probably than Apple does, just for the sake of making sure that I hit under. So we're going to collect a variety of sigils here. We're actually going to skip quite a few that Apple can't, because instead of collecting all 129 sigils, we're going to elect to collect far fewer than that. I'm trying to do the math in my head. You need 4 for one thing, 4 for another thing, and 3 for another thing, so 11. So we're going to collect 11 total sigils here. That's 3 of them. The 4th one will be across the way here. I'm going to try a little tricky jump here. Oh, I got the first part, but not the second. Bummer. There's always a backup for everything, so that's why I'm comfortable in saying that this is going to be within 6 minutes. Anyways, that finishes up A1, a collection of those. So now as we move on to A3, we have to collect another 3 sigils. 2 of them are going to be the remaining yellows to unlock the connector, which we're going to need in order to clip out of bounds. And one of them is going to be a red sigil, which we're going to need to unlock floor 1. This is a bit tied up, more like I got the sigil already, and then this is an escalating problem, more like not an escalating problem, you know what I'm saying? Gonna do a PIJ here over this fence. Pretty sure Apple does something similar in the all achievements because all achievements isn't that messed up. Well, you never know. You have to wait 20 something minutes to go through a bunch of dialogue and wait for some achievements, so who knows. And then here is just the simple parkour as usual. This stuff is all pretty standard and you've probably already seen it, but I'm just gonna talk about how awful all achievements is while I'm technically running inside of it. And that's A3. We then move on to unlock the connector here. We don't actually strictly need it for anything, it's just that in the overworld routing we're closer to it than any other time, because we're going to go to 2 levels which are further away. In A5 we just have to do the Zen jump, so-called, because you can do it from a standstill position. I don't, although I just sort of did. Everyone does it their own different way. I'm pretty sure Apple does it the wrong way. I also do it the wrong way because you're supposed to be able to make that a little bit faster. And we're going to do a little cuter of an FC that you probably didn't see when Apple did it. We're actually going to rely on mine cycles instead of doing any glitches or avoiding turrets. I mean, we're going to avoid turrets, but we're not going to avoid turrets in the way that an 100% run does. So that was cool. I got to avoid some mines and some turrets and be in danger for a long time. And then in A6 we have 2 sigils to collect, and because we have connector, we can actually use connector instead of having to unlock paint here. It's a slight improvement over paint because we don't have to rely on seeds and whatnot. So that's all cool. I will do the jump up this rock here. I've got backups upon backups in case I fail any of these jumps. I failed that one, which is the worst one to fail, but that's still fine. And then I'm going to take this one over to 80 TF. And I've still got backups for 80 TF even if this goes wrong, so don't worry about it. This is all cool. If I messed up that jump, that probably wouldn't have had a backup, but I rarely mess that one up. Okay. And that's all the sigils that we need, surprisingly. Those 11 sigils are going to get us to where we need to go. So we're going to use 4 of them to unlock A here, so that we can actually just leave. And then we're going to start climbing the tower, which you guys probably haven't seen yet, at least in this point in the run. So we'll do the elevator, skip the standard. So this is the tower, the kilometer-tall sort of structure from hell. It also turns out to have some really ideal geometry for some weird out-of-bounds clippings properties. Shoutouts to Nozu86 for finding this and basically rendering another one of his awful any percent strats invalid. Not invalid, but it just makes it slower. This is far better on pretty much every metric. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab this connector, because there's a hole in the wall here. This isn't that impressive, and I think this is one of those things that's been known since antiquity. Come on, where are you? Of course, I'm going to lose 5 minutes on that. Come on, friend. I just need a connector here. I could always go the slow way, but that's slower. Probably slower than what it took to just... I swear, I practiced at this. Come on, friend. Thank you. Alright. So now, given that, we're going to jump on top of here. You know what? I'm not going to risk that quite yet, so I'm going to change to 15 FPS. Stand on this edge here. Sliding down sucks, but it's only like 5 seconds. I have to stand in a particular position, point at a particular thing, and drop connector, and it should push me through. I will change to 60 in order for ease of access, and also technically preparing for the Gehenna that's happening right after this. So right here, drop off the edge onto this beam, and then use this beam to finish out the game. We're going to be just towing the line on this 6 minute. Got it. Okay, so that was 6 minutes. Good, we did it. Now we're going to move on to Gehenna, so I just need to cross under 18 for this. We start... Okay, so I should explain what Gehenna is, because we actually do get to it in all achievements, and I think Apple does it first. So you've seen some of this, but you're not going to see a lot of the more advanced strats of this, because Apple does star collection, and we don't need to collect any stars for any percent, thank God. So we're just going to do each of the robots in their own turn, and it utilizes very similar strats, but we can also avoid some of the worst stars in the game, thankfully. So this intro part is very similar to what you'd expect, just tiny parkour, and then making it to the end here. Ooh, pretty colors. Okay. You head over to 3 here. The reason that I'm in 60 FPS, while I have time to explain, if Apple hasn't technically at this point yet, is for twofold. One, I'm going to be doing a jammer glitch, which it really helps to have a smoother surface. Turns out at higher FPS's walls are stickier, so I prefer a smoother surface in order to more accurately pinpoint my position, like so. So it turns out if you pick a very particular position, you get pushed out to the other side. Okay. I have technically forgotten a minor thing, but I will fix that real quick. I actually need to be at a slow walking speed. This cube jump here, which I'll explain while I'm doing it, is best done... Okay, there we go. So a cube jump is, if we haven't seen it already, basically when you try to jump on a cube and then you grab it out from underneath yourself while you're trying to jump on it, and so the game basically flings you up. We don't really know why. I'd like to think I know why, but I don't actually know why. Anywho, it turns out that it's slower movement speeds that affects your approach to the cube, and that actually affects your distance, and so it just turns out that's more optimal to do that way. Just did a bunch of parkour, don't worry about it, that's just standard old parkour. We're going to do another CJ, and then because I don't have to do any more of these obnoxious CJs anymore, I'm going to change to uncapped and fast movement speed so I can walk fast. I've been flung to the side a bit, which means I'm going to do backup A, aka the standard strat most people use. There is a backup B in case I get it good enough. Can I? Yeah, okay, cool. So then I can just avoid pretty much that entire level, and that is Gehenna World 3. Now we're going to move on to Gehenna World 2. This is the Desert Land of Deserts. I believe Apple uses more cube jump based stuff maybe some barrierless cube jumps. I'm not too sure. We use none of that crap because CJs are for losers and item jumps are the next hot thing. So let's get that Rickroll in here. First, this part I think is pretty standard. You just do parkour. I'm just going to do it better than he does because I'm actually good at the game. So let me do that real quick. By the way, we are 9 minutes in. He still hasn't gotten his achievement, has he? He technically expects his achievement at 10 minutes in. So I've still managed to do half a DLC and an any percent in less time than it takes him to get a single achievement. What a wonderful run. Honestly, the run is awful, but Apple is the martyr that we all need so that we can prove that 100% is the worst category in this game. But that is neither here nor there. I did some cube abuse back there. That doesn't really... I don't have a way to explain it because it's just weird. This is an item jump, however. If we haven't explained item jumps yet, I will do that real quick because we get to do it like 3 times. Oh, I did an FPS boost off the stairs there. Don't worry about it. I might not have the opportunity to at the event. So an item jump is when you drop an item and use its pushback to push you up a sloped surface. And for whatever reason, doors count as sloped surfaces. Same thing with barriers. It turns out that the pushback is dependent on FPS, so like it lasts for exactly 0.4 seconds, which means it lasts for more frames at higher FPSs, and I guess that imparts the same amount of force. So you just slide up stuff and you go flying. It's great, and it basically makes Gehenna a joke. I'm pretty sure intended is probably 20 minutes minimum. But instead we're going to be able to do this easily under 12. So as you get to World 1 actually has a lot of robot routing here. It's actually kind of interesting how this all plays out. So first I'm going to do through a window, which in the duration of doing through a window I'm going to set up a connector. This jump is the hardest, so I'm going to be a little bit quiet so that I can focus. That's part A of the worst part of this strategy, but that's fine. That's what the 12 minutes is for. That's why I'm not putting this at like 10 minutes like I was recommended to. Okay. There we go. Very nice. Okay. So now that I've got that connector up there, I'm actually going to use that for another level coming up here. So I'm going to pass through this level so close so far, SCSF, which as it turns out, because they put the ending bit right next to the beginning bit, I can just go wah, and well, wah, there we go. And that finishes up that robot. But now I'm going to actually climb up the statue and climb slightly out of bounds, and utilizing that connector from 2 levels past and the connector from this level, I can set up a connection of a laser from here to here and solve open field. Open field intended is probably one of the worst strategies in the game. It's cute, but it's definitely slow, so we're not going to bother. And then the last bit here is, instead of doing the actual thing, I'm going to grab a hat. The hat is part of an Easter egg that we're never going to do. Maybe we should. Honestly, I'll have to ask. The leprechaun would probably add like a minute or less, so it might be a sort of cute thing to do. But this is his hat. There's a bunch of pieces that you can do, and it makes the ending different. This jump sucks. Yeah, so you see I overshot there. Again, this is all fine because I have allotted myself a fair bit of time to let this work. There we go. And that is the swapper done. Shout out to Tom Jubert. So now we're going to move on to the last level, W4, and W4 is really interesting because every level is solved very slightly differently in such a way where it makes it, titillating is not a great word to use. I know it's a word that would technically work. It's an exciting part to watch because there's a lot of homogeneity. Let's go with that. That's cool. So the first level that we're going to do is air delivery. Because my FPS is so high, I have a very high chance of actually sliding off of the island. So I'm going to try to manipulate my momentum. Okay, that was very close. I almost went off the end there, which would have sucked. But that's fine. We didn't do that. Go up to this tree. use this tree to get on the fence. If I jump over, I have to reset checkpoint, which is why I'm being aggressively careful about it and then overshooting it horribly. Don't worry about it. We have time. Believe it or not. Alright, so that finishes air delivery. Colliding beams is sort of similar. The way that you're intended to do this is collide a bunch of beams. Instead, we're going to use the connector to not collide a bunch of beams and instead hop over a bunch of barriers. The reason that this would be different from air delivery, as I explained earlier, is because you use barriers instead of trees. Ain't that cute? Oh boy, I turned around too early. That's fine. Alright, so next we're going to do press and jam. Press and jam is an awful level, but we're going to do it because we have to. It's a really sort of nice strat, but here you'll see. So first I'm going to record for a second so I can try that one again. I'm going to record for a second so I can grab the jammer. It saves a tiny bit of time unless you mess it up like that. This is the worst part. Yep, okay. So let's just do this instead. I have to get through all of these barriers and then land on this wall, and then I have to do a low FPS jump here. So it turns out that you jump about a meter further at 15 FPS. We don't really know why, but it helps for instances like this. And then I'm going to switch to 30 for a barrierless cube jump. The only in either of the two instances that we use it. This is a frame perfect trick, so I'm going to focus. If I'm too late, I just hop on top of it. If I'm too early, I grab it without doing anything. There we go, got it. 1/30th of an FPS. 1/30th of an FPS, good lord, 1/30th of a second. Anyways, that will mark the end of this category, and we're at 15 minutes, so something with Milton has happened. But he's still got like 8 minutes to go over here, this nerd. Don't worry about it. Just, you know, finished 2 major any percent categories. So anyways, shoutouts to the entire Talos Principle community. I don't really have any names to name for this one. Just look at the leaderboards and look at all the nerds on there, because I'm going to miss someone and they're going to be offended, so I'm going to mention no names. I guess shoutouts to Apple for picking the worst category in the game to run. He is our greatest martyr and the only one who would ever conceive of doing all achievements. So I tease at him a lot for it, but I personally appreciate the work that he puts into it. So 16:33. So we got under 12 minutes. It was actually 10:33, which is a pretty decent run, surprisingly. So we can watch this ending, by the way. I'm going to change to higher FPS so I don't barf. Here goes Serena. I don't know what that means, if anything. So anyways, we freed a bunch of robots. Unfortunately, we sold our soul to the devil or something, so we're not going to be able to escape with them, but I'm going to do my damned hardest to go with them. We would get to see an Irish dance if I did the leprechaun, but that would tack on a minute and we might be able to... We might be cutting it a bit close there. I don't know. I'll have to consult with Apple on this one. Let me see, let's stand here. Let's see if we can... He'll take us. Okay, hold on, hold on. Come on. Please. Please. Come on. Come on. I must leave. No. Elohim, why must you forsake me? Baktani, Baktani. That's biblical references. What even is a Bible? Anyway, so that's the 20% categories of the Talos Principle. Please consider all achievements, even for the second stream where it'd be really rough to set up, maybe. And that's that.